The Detroit Lions bounce back in a revenge game against the Commanders, now sitting at 6-3, and Dan Campbell calling the plays. Let's Talk Lions. Welcome back to an all-new episode here at Let's Talk Lions. Today's episode is sponsored by Founders Brewing, and specifically the Red Sweater IPA. If you have not found it yet, go get it. I think it came out like a week and a half ago. And I specifically... Oh, that's it's just smooth. That's just smooth. It's crisp. I think it comes in at like 6.5%. That is delicious. And I saved it for what is the Washington Commanders game because they wear red. And I said, perfect. Red Sweater IPA. And look, man, it snowed out today. Here we are. So much to talk about in this game. Lions Commanders obviously coming into it. You were looking at a rough Commanders team without Jaden Daniels. Guys are getting injured left and right. We saw that again tonight. However, watching them play, man, you could feel their age. I know coming into the season, they were the oldest roster in the league, and you could see it tonight, man. They had nothing. They really had no answer for Detroit, even right off the bat. They go 3 and out, and then the Lions roll down, pick up 7. Everything that was going on. And then their players just absolutely frustrated, making foolish mistakes, getting ejected. One guy, well, I can't believe he didn't get ejected for coming in contact with the ref the way he did. Another guy with the personal conduct, like player after player, you could just see the frustration mounting. And it mounting early. The one guy striking St. Brown right across the face. It was wild. It was wild. I mean, they were acting like they didn't beat us in the division round to go on to the NFC Championship last year. They were acting like what you would imagine Detroit should act like, being pissed off and upset. And it was just odd. It was kind of an odd thing because Dan Quinn, love him as a coach. I love Washington's head coach, Dan Quinn. I think he's stellar. He's great at rallying the room, but something was going on. And you know what it is, man? It's like when you're not winning, the locker room can collapse. And Washington is not only not winning, they were losing poorly. And with that, you can see that, man, things are good when you're winning. Players, even like you look at J-Mo when we're winning, and there's no question marks about not getting the ball. Obviously, he wants the ball. But, man, winning fixes everything. Losing brings everything to the surface. It just does. Obviously, one of the biggest things coming out of this game was right in the beginning when you see Campbell with the glasses on. He's got the play calling sheet. He's got the headset on. You could tell that he is relaying messages to Goff after last week's disaster against the Minnesota Vikings. You know, everybody and the brothers calling for John Morton. And I liked it. Somebody in my comments was like, I just think John Morton's becoming a scapegoat. And in one sense, yeah. It's like easy to try to find somebody, point the finger, and say they're the problem. But watching the game against Minnesota was prepared and dialed up, but it felt like we were stale. It felt like we were stagnant. Well, I would not say the same about what I just watched tonight. The play calling seemed to work beyond measure. And if we're just shaking things up, but it worked the way it did, hey man, that's going to be an interesting thing to address come Monday, come tomorrow, when Campbell's got to stand in front of the podium and address whatever is going on between John Morton, himself, the play calling, because tonight it worked. Halftime, 25-10. And then that score only ramped up to 44-22. And quite frankly, the last whatever TD coming from Washington was all just garbage time where you knew there was no coming back. Campbell's just a great guy, and he's never going to throw anybody under the bus. And so that's where, like, him being like, oh, we're just shaking things up. Just, keep it. That's him kindly saying, yeah, we're trying something new tonight. And new it was. Lions 44, Washington 22. Lions now at 6-3. Washington falling to 3-7. Jared Goff, 25 for 33, 320 yards, 3 TDs, passer rating of 135.9. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, and David Montgomery, 15 as well. So both of them splitting the load. Gibbs with 142 yards, 9.5 on average, 2 TDs, and a long for 43. That one that he ripped off to the right. Watching Decker the whole way down protect. Just it was incredible. Monty with 71 yards. And then in the receiving game, don't get me wrong, St. Brown with his touchdown. But J-Mo 6 receptions, most for the wide receivers tonight. 119 yards, 19.8 on average to the 1 TD, 41 long, targeted 7 times, went 6 for 7. All in all, looking at that offensively, Goff had a night. And you know why? One, the O-line did their job. The O-line protected. I'm not going to lie, I got super scared when Sewell went down. But all in all, the O-line did a phenomenal job. They locked down. And if you can lock down, we could not do that against Minnesota last week, the way they dialed up the pressure. But man, when we were in one-on-one man coverage, dude, Laporta, the whole bit, even J-Mo multiple times, Khalif Raymond underneath, like the Lions offensively tonight did something that I haven't seen in the last couple of weeks. And I think that's going to get called into question with John Morton, with Campbell play calling. So Goff has a stellar night. He just performs, J-Mo performs, and it does worry me for John Morton for his job because offensively, the O-line did what they're supposed to do. And when the O-line does what they're supposed to do, all the plays can open up. It's easy to scapegoat Morton, but at the same time, the O-line played poorly. They were inefficient, undisciplined against Minnesota. Tonight, the opposite. The absolute opposite. And with that, the plays develop. Goff has time in the pocket, 2.5 seconds, letting plays, routes develop, and the offense looks great. Huge win offensively. I love that we stuck it to them because we had to. And again, the Lions continue the streak of not losing 2 games in a row. Defensively, loved what I saw. You know, I will say, like, you go against a team like Minnesota with Addison, with TJ Hawkinson, and with the best of the best, Justin Jefferson. And JJ was just 50-50. He threw the ball where he needed to at perfect times. But then you look at a team like this with Marcus Mariota struggling. They've got old Debo, who was used not adequately. And then Zach Ertz was kind of it felt like the main target throughout the game. Obviously, their wide receiver 1 out with the quad, right? I believe it's a quad injury. So defensively, I expected us to bring the house and to play well. And you know what we did? And Brian Branch, being who Brian Branch is, he gets that sack. Defensively, under Kelvin Shepard, everything has been smooth sailing since Aaron Glenn has left. It's been offensively that we have seen the struggle of rhythm and keeping a nice, solid rhythm. And I think we found that tonight, and it scares me for John Morton's job because if that's the case, dude, look at what this team just did, unleashed under Dan Campbell calling the plays. It was as if the man himself had a red sweater IPA. That's tasty. Give that to the boys tomorrow when we film. Actually, let me just check that box score. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, did we even punt? And we didn't even punt the ball once. You go from what was last week's debacle and disaster to this, where you look and then you watch Minnesota today against Baltimore, and you're like, this is my problem, right? Minnesota fans coming out in droves, being like, "Oh, JJ's not ass. We're great. We're the." JJ is he's a rookie quarterback. He's not there yet. No, maybe he's not ass, but he's kind of playing like it. Half the time at least. And if you don't admit that, whatever. Keep the blinders on, Seabiscuit. You'll win in the end. Maybe Tobey Maguire rode you. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, I think throughout this game, I look at it, and what's the GD moment? What is the green dragon moment when I go to the fridge and I grab myself a Founders beer, a red sweater IPA? Green Dragon moment has to be the fact that Dan Campbell called the plays, and he called them well. With that roster, putting it up, smoking them at 44-22, never punting once. That's Detroit Lions football. That's the GD moment. Seeing him with the glasses go for 2. Going for 2. That might be it. Maybe it was when we were going for 2.
But the only food for the brave and true comes from that Green Dragon.
Ain't that just the way? Going for 2, and I love that we just let them have it, man. Feels really good to be able to put this W over Washington. Yeah, Washington's not good. You should beat them 44-22. We should not have looked the way we did against Minnesota last week. But this is a game that you bounce back and you get on rhythm because guess what? Here comes Philly. Well, we go to Philly. Huge game next week against Philadelphia. The Lions, you need this W to kind of get yourself rolling again. I know some people say it's better coming off a loss because you want it more. I think the Lions needed this over Washington. You can't sputter out. The Lions need this. Huge W. Go to Philly. Got to beat them on Sunday Night Football. I think it is Sunday Night Football. Anyways, that is it. That is it for today. We will break this down more, have some conversations with the boys. But, that's just it. That's just it. Tomorrow we'll break it down more. But with that being said, to Dan Campbell, calling the plays. You guys didn't come here for ASMR.